A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem. Okay, so now today we are going to talk about that how to read Quran or how to understand Quran. Very first thing you remember that whenever you start reading Quran, you should always start with A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Always, whenever you start reading Quran, always you seek protection in Allah from shaitan. And the second rule is, whenever you start reading Quran, after you seek protection from shaitan, you say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah means I start. Whoever is saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, basically what that person is saying, I start in the name of Allah, who is most gracious and most merciful. This is always how you start reading Quran. Second thing, there's a very common question. People ask that, can we read Quran by ourselves? Translation I'm talking about. Right? People ask that can we read Quran translation by ourselves? But before that, I want to touch on something else. See, people spend a lot of time on learning how to read Quran. How to say ha, how to say kha, how to say ayn. Right? People spend a lot of time. People spend a lot of time on tajweed. But the sad part is, after learning how to read Quran, they miss on the fact that the reason of learning Quran is to understand. There are many people who are hafiz, who know all the Quran by heart. But a very, very, very sad fact is, most of them, if you ask them that do you know the meaning of what you have learned, excuse me please, if you ask them, do you know the meaning of what you have learned by heart, what you have memorized? And very sadly they don't. Same way, mostly people who go house to house to teach Quran to kids, to adults, they are very good with their tajweed. They are very good with what is ikhfa, what is ishar, what is iqlab and all that stuff. But if you ask them that what is the meaning that you are teaching to kids, most of them don't know that. So it is very important for us to learn to understand Quran also. So now coming to the translation part, when it comes to this part, people ask that can we read translation all by ourselves? Very common question, right? Now see, this is what we need to understand when it comes to this part. If you want to read the translation, make sure, this is how I suggest people, make sure you always have a pen and paper with you. You start reading the translation and something you don't understand, write it down. Whatever question you have, write it down, but don't ask anyone yet. Write down the question you have, start reading again. So by the time you will end the translation of Quran from Alham to An-Nas, by the time you'll end the translation of Quran, most of the questions you have written down will be answered by the Quran itself. First time you have done it, most of your questions are answered. Try to do it again. Now see, in this thing, when you're reading Quran from Alham to An-Nas, the translation, why I said not to ask questions to anyone is because when you ask a question to a scholar or to somebody else, what you have read, the fact is that you have just read that part and still there is a lot to come. So the person will try to answer according to his or her knowledge, and you are asking a question according to your knowledge. That's why I'm insisting that read from Alham to An-Nas, write in the questions, and by the time you will reach at the end of the translation, most of your questions will be answered. Second thing, when you're reading the translation of Quran, don't try to take out the ahkamat by yourself. The ahkamat means the rulings, the laws. Don't try to put your understanding towards it. This is the most dangerous part. Because people who put their understanding towards the understanding of Quran, they mess up mostly because they do not have any previous knowledge. They have some sort of knowledge, but they have not learned the science of hadith. They have not learned the science of tafsir. They have not learned the rules, that how to take the rulings out of the matan. Matan means the text. So it is very important for us that when we are reading Quran, we don't try to put our understanding in things we don't know. And I can guarantee that. This is what has happened with me as well. I can guarantee that once you will start reading the Quran, you will start asking the questions in Quran, and you will start getting in answers from the Quran. Almost 70 to 75% of your daily life questions will be answered by Quran, if not 85. And the rest, 15 to 25%, that is something where you need to sit with a scholar, a learned scholar, and he will tell you that these 15 to 25% of the problems, how they are solved. Because that person has spent a lot of time in learning the sciences and the tafsirs and stuff like that. Okay, so this was something very important which I wanted to really emphasize on, that don't learn the tajweed, don't learn the qaida, don't read the Quran without knowing what is written in there. It's like spending, for example, it's like spending a lot of time learning Chinese or Japanese or English or some other language, but at the end of the day, you can read it very well, you're very well versed in that language, but when it comes to understanding, you don't know what's written in there. So basically what you have done, you have done a lot of hard work, you have put in a lot of energy for almost no good. Almost, I'm saying almost because it is almost no good. Do you have a question for that? So this is very important, right? And the third thing, that you have to start reading the translation of Quran or any sacred book you follow. And you have to start looking in the book, that what that book is telling you, asking you, informing you. You have to write down those questions and you have to look for answers. But once you will start reading from beginning till end, most of your questions will be answered. And the questions which will remain unanswered, because you already have a kind of knowledge what Quran is talking about, those unanswered questions you can sit with a learned scholar and ask, and when that person will try to answer your questions, you will understand it very well. I'll try to give you an example, like from a perspective of a chef. You know, a chef, like I don't know much about cooking. I know about food, eating, I know about different things, but I don't know much about cooking. Now, I cannot go and ask a chef something which I don't know about. So if I need to ask a chef, a professional chef, a question, I need to have a prior knowledge of that thing. Because chef knowledge is already on top. My knowledge is probably from down to middle, average. So this is very important. Okay, so this is what I wanted to really insist on, and this is what I really wanted to inform. Any questions on it? No? So we ask Allah that whatever we have discussed today, may Allah accept our effort, accept our time, and may Allah give us the energy and the sense and all those brains to understand whatever we are doing. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلق أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.